meetup.com
Uh-huh.
and you type in, those different things, you'll be able to find people with kind of like interests. And
Okay.
they meet up and talk about these different things. And so,
Okay.
yeah, so the first thing I would do is say, okay, search Google for, networking events, and you could do it based around your industry, or you could say, and even in a certain zip code, right? One of the things that I always do is if I'm researching for a client, I'll actually type into Google the wealthiest zip codes in that certain area. And so it'll bring all that information back. And now I know, okay, these are the zip codes that we need to be going after. Why? Because they are able to afford the services or the products that my client is offering to them. It
Okay.
saves you tremendously on your advertising and stuff as well, and your time.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, no problem. All right, anybody else? Any other questions? All right, let me share my whole desktop now because I want to. All right, if you guys will pull up that the Surefire ideal customer profile sheet, I'm gonna cover that right quick. And we're gonna talk about your target audience. Now, this is where most people actually have the most trouble, is really identifying who their market is. And honestly, if I may be transparent, I had issues when I first started in business doing this as well. And then I just learned over time, okay, these are the things I need to focus on as it relates to my business. One of the things that you have to realize is your business is not called to everybody. Okay. Unless you're like McDonald's, Burger King, and even I can show you even then, there's still a certain demo that they go after, right? There's a demo that Ruth's Chris goes after, right? Versus McDonald's. Or we have a big steakhouse on the border of Durham and Raleigh called Angus Barn, right? So there's different demographics that they go after. There's a different what we call profile demographic, ideal customer profile. There's a different psychology for somebody that shops at Walmart versus Target, or that shops at Walmart versus Neiman Marcus or Macy's. Okay. And so what this sheet will do is it'll help you hone down on who it is that you are mostly seeking. All right. So you can have a product, again, like I was saying with the ocean and the pond, you can have a product that will actually service all of them. But does it make sense to spend all of the extra resources to grab them on a huge scale when you can just focus down and still make the same amount of money reaching just a certain demographic, right? For instance, in Blueberry Digital Marketing, let's use Freeman Multimedia for example. When I first started, I was like everything to everybody, right? And so I just found myself dealing with, Cynthia, the same thing we were just talking about, dealing with clients that I felt like were just lowballed. And so literally what I had to do was I had to begin to price myself out of their range, okay? And so the first website I ever did, I charged $300 for it, right? And I just noticed that these kinds of clients were just headaches, right? They were just headaches. They demand all of your time for that little bit of money. And so I moved from 300 to 500. And then I noticed something. I was like, hold up. The clientele is starting to be totally different. And when I moved from 500 to 1,000, from 1,000 to 2,500 on up, now the clientele is different, right? It's different. I don't have headaches like I used to. And then the second thing I did was I actually put my target market down, okay? I actually wrote it down and said, okay, my ideal customer, who is the ideal customer that I want to work with? Well, they're small businesses making $250,000 a year or more, right? That's where I'm at now. When I first started, it was small businesses or startups looking to get started, in business that were making either from zero to a startup, or from $50,000 to $100,000, right? And that range, it just didn't sit well with me. Well, since I've been at the $250,000 on up, totally different clientele. You know, this type of clientele that they'll pay you in advance and won't bug you about the project or what have you, right? You give them the deadlines and they say, okay, as long as we can see it, we approve it, boom, let's go back, you know, let's go to the next part, you know. And so you want to be thinking about these things when you are doing this Surefire Ideal Customer Profile worksheet. You want to make sure that if you're going to be in business for yourself, you want to enjoy it, right? You want to enjoy the process. You want to enjoy the journey. You don't want to have to, you just left a 9-to-5, or you're trying to leave a 9-to-5 that you don't necessarily like, right? Interesting stat, over 95% of America, check this out, over 95% of America work a 9-to-5 that they don't like. Life is too short to be working at a job that you don't like, especially when you have aspirations to do your own thing. You may have a product, an invention, an idea that you want to get off the ground and get investors and things for. You want to be able to put your time and energy into something that you really